Hey everybody. So I'm back to making my PTSD vlogs and talking about everything that goes into that. And today's subject is going to be why I forgave my abuser. And from here on out, I think I'm going to stick to keeping the name as DA and just leave it at that. I think it's a better way of dealing with this situation. I am nervous and jumpy and snapping. I've got these in because I'm listening to music as I speak to you guys. It makes it a lot easier for me to talk about the negative and not so pleasant things so that I can try to keep my demeanor and keep my mental health steady. Chamomile tea, really warm. But it helps me sleep. And it's already late as I'm doing this. So I've had a few of my inner circle ask me why I decided to forgive or try to forgive. And it simply comes down to the fact that it's a lot of weight and pressure on me to have that much hate within me. I'm trying to live my best life. And to do that, I need positive vibes and good thoughts. And it's hard to do that when you are spending your whole entire life either hating someone or being fearful of that person. Now, logically speaking, I have my whole entire life, I've always had someone around that if I really needed to go to them to have some help, I'd have that around. But it's not logical that plays when it comes to fear. When it comes to fear, it's going to pick at the little things that you think that, okay, this couldn't happen, but in your dreams, it can get kind of twisted. So I'm going to get into one of my nightmares after I touch on this whole piece a little bit. So I will probably never, ever truly get the closure I deserve when it comes to DA. I will probably never get to say all the things that I want to say, like why, and why me and this other girl, and have you changed? Are you a different person now? Does your new current married family know what you've done? Do you take any responsibility for your actions? These are all kinds of questions that if I ever had the opportunity to, I probably would ask at this point, because I've gotten to a point where I'm not afraid. And getting to that point was from realizing that this is a person. This is a human being. Though they have done evil and downright disgusting things, they're still a person capable of change and growing and learning. Even I have to admit that that's the case. It's funny how I got to this conclusion. It was two sources. One was I went back to church. I spoke with a pastor, and they explained to me a few things when it came to forgiveness. They explained that it's not just about forgiving the perpetrator or saying you're okay with what that person did. Forgiving isn't saying that you are okay with what that person did. It's basically just saying that you're not holding it against them anymore. You're not going to hold that discretion against them. And you're not going to hold it to yourself either. And grudges and hate just kind of bubble and build and build and build into this monster that you created into. The other was a couple years ago, I started watching the show 13 Reasons Why. I know, you're almost 30. What are you doing watching the show? But if I'm being completely honest, it really changed things for me. A lot of people, when it came to the 4th season, were like, wow, this is crazy. Like, how is Clay getting away with all this? And I think it really draws on that Bryce got demonized and was like, he can't get any better. He'll never change. This is who he is. And that's what he'll always be. But then you look at Clay and the school shootings, the fact that he has done some pretty despicable things himself, as in beating someone up, threatening a bunch of kids, threatening police officers, just overall not really being a great person himself. Now, does that in society, we do put rape and everything else on a different level than other crimes. And understandably so, because it is such a disgusting and despicable thing to do to another person. You are taking something from someone that doesn't belong to you. But it really resonated a thought in me, which combined with going back to church, kind of said to me, that whether you want to admit it sometimes or not, people can change. People are capable of it. And it also showing Jessica's journey through all that and how she managed to find the silver lining in all of it. And I'm trying currently to find the silver lining in mine. I do have a wonderful little boy that is my entire world and a good family unit. I'm back home with my mom now and my brother, my real brother. And really getting to a point where I'm getting better. I'm not going to say that I am better because I'm not there yet. I don't know about those other people that are going through this whole COVID crisis and being stuck inside the house, but it's sure making it harder for me to leave now because I've been stuck inside for so long. And now I feel comfortable. And comfort is the enemy. Because you can find comfort in many things. Nightmares are an example. I found comfort in the predictability of my nightmares. I found great comfort in that because whenever a new nightmare would come, it would be much like the ones I've had before. This time, it's not so much the case. Definitely, since I have changed my outlook on things and tried to change my outlook to the future when it comes to DA. When I have a future in which I don't think about him. Yeah. Oh, panicky. I'm good. Is to one day get to a point where I could sit down at a coffee table. I could sit in a restaurant, that I could go to a park, that I could go anywhere. And the thought of DA showing up wouldn't give me severe panic attacks. I'm hoping that I get to a point with God and with my life where I can learn to forgive. Because holding on to this has been one of the hardest things for me. It is one of the things that makes it harder for me to sing. It makes it harder to work. It makes it harder for me to work out. It makes it harder for me. And here's the big one, to be a parent. And to be an adult woman. I mean, there are times that I'm repulsed touched by people who I should not be repulsed by. There are times that I withdraw from a simple touch of a shoulder by a stranger. And this has been long before this whole COVID thing where you have to stay apart anyway. Best thing that's ever happened. Honestly, for someone who doesn't like to be touched, this is A1. But there's the other thing. I don't like to be hugged. I don't like to hug other people. When it comes to my child, he's pretty much the only one that gets cuddles and long hugs from me. And with everybody else, it's very much, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I mean, I try really hard to not make these too serious. And that is one of the things for me, is that I do make a joke over most things to try to diffuse my emotions when it comes to it. But I do look forward to the day where I can go to sleep and I'm not thinking about it. Where I can go out to a store and I'm not thinking about it. I mean, I'm not wearing them right now, but I have medical tags that I gotta wear sometimes when I go out because my panic attacks get so bad that I don't want an ambulance called for me if I fall down on the ground and someone's like, oh, she's dying. No, I'm not dying. I'm just having a major flashback and I just need to work it out. Also, great for PTSD, great for dealing with your stresses, great for helping with those flashbacks. Working out, my friend. I don't know if anyone else has the same issues with water as I do, but I find when I drink water, my mindset tends to space. So I go for other drinks in general. But if you like water, drink lots of water. It's good for you too. Lots of liquids in general is a great idea. That's what I do. I just switched up with tea and like I'll do like the crystal drinks and whatever. But I'm mostly coffee and tea, and I'm avoiding what I plan on talking about. Yeah, I'm good at that. So, new nightmare. So ever since I've made this, turnaround, they have changed a little bit. I mean, I'm sure some would say for the better. I, on the other hand, don't. Like I said, there's comfort in normal. You can find comfort in anything, and I found comfort in the normalcy of my nightmares being very much violent and abrasive and quick. It was a bare minimum pain that I could go through that I'd still feel residuals in the next day, and I'd be like, oh, it really feels like that just happened, even though it didn't. And, but now, why is this harder? I'm having dreams in which I'm hanging out with friends and family, and DA is attending. I had a dream where I was working at a hotel, and was confronted by DA and had to have a conversation. That's all that happened, was me having to have a conversation. But that conversation felt like it went on for 8 hours. I felt like my whole entire dream was the span of time I slept. And when I woke up, I felt like I had just laid down. I literally felt like, oh my goodness, I am so exhausted. Because during this conversation is all the questions I wanted to ask being asked, and I don't know how else to explain it but it being twisted. Like how you would see a normal conversation play out. The closeness of him really affected me. I definitely know that if I think that dreams are like a map to how you're supposed to handle things if such an event were to happen. So on said map, for me, I think it was its way of saying, okay, you are definitely never going to be comfortable in a situation where he is like, this me and not him, and not to be to space. I would need to space be like crazy amount. Oh, Frank. I contradict myself because as much as I want to forgive this person and think that they may have changed, I'm still pretty worried that they haven't. I also know that the chances of me running into DA are very slim to none. I have also been having dreams about how I'd react if I saw the people that I once called mom and dad. They were both the best foster parents I ever had and the worst. And the worst because all I needed them to do is just hear me and know that I was telling the truth and believe me. That's all I needed. Something small, something insignificant to most people, just hear you, even. I know I'll never get any admittance of guilt. And I think that's really the hardest part that's playing on me when it comes to the nightmare is that even throughout that whole conversation, the most aggravating and irritating part of it was the fact that I didn't get any answers, really. I just got things thrown back at me, things that I've done in my past that would definitely bring aggression. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I had some time in my teens where I was like, I hate you. I gotta make you pay. Like, I I can't take complete blame for this. But I found out when I was 18 that he was dating an 18-year-old. That was someone who I went to class with, who he managed to convince that I never existed. I never lived with their family. Well, I did a little, high school yearbook nonsense and was like, yeah, junior high wasn't high. I was in junior high with you. Like, it's actually documented. Just go look in the yearbooks. Just go back a little bit. Just a little. You'll see that I wasn't very far from you. And it wasn't very long before when I left either. It really kind of, ugh. And it had only been 5 years since he had done what he did to me. And as I said, he had done this to another girl before me, but that is her journey with him to handle and not mine. Okay, brain, where'd you go? Keep on track. Come on. Go back to where you were. Okay, yeah, so I poked the bear, as it were. Then you fast track a few years later, and after I had my child, I had an incident where I was getting these emails, and the person said that they were someone that was friends with DA. Then I got emails from someone saying they were DA. I kind of freaked out. I very much freaked out. This was also before I got diagnosed with PTSD, so according to a few of my therapists, it definitely triggered me in ways that I cannot even describe to this day. It was definitely a learning experience. I mean, do I believe that it was him? No. The amount of admittance of, even the little admittance of, like, I've hurt you is definitely no way in hell it was him. But it really ate me up that someone would pretend to be DA to put fear into me. I mean, there were many theories that went around at the time, but that whole situation with me essentially poking the bear again, because I did at the time believe it was him who was sending me those emails. I was scared. It was just really messed up. I don't know how else to put it other than there have been multiple times over the years that I have done things to try to seek revenge, that I've done things to try to run away from my fear. And I guess it's harder for me to have dreams where I have to talk it out, that I can't just chalk it up to another nightmare and be like, okay, I can just move on to my next thing, do my workouts. So I'm starting to stutter. So I think I'm good now. I think we're done with this. And I will definitely try to do another one of these soon.